Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here today. We have a lot to talk about today, maybe even more than usual. So I try to be short in the way that English speeches are normally short. Very much happening next season. We finish our Mahler cycle with the symphonies number 7, 8, 9 and Das Lied von der Erde, combined always, we hope, with unusual, thought-provoking pieces. The first time that the orchestra has played a work by Helmut Lachenmann, about time too, I must say. At this extraordinary combination with the Ninth Symphony, Bruno Walter said that there are places in the Mahler's Ninth where it is no longer music, it is like dust. And these are, of course, this journey between music and sound and noise is very much the atmosphere where Lachenmann works. And for instance, these two pieces should live very, very well together and talk to each other in a very powerful way. Similarly, to put the great 40-part motet of Thomas Tallis with the Eighth Symphony. Mahler did not know the music of Tallis, but it is the world from which the Eighth Symphony comes, and it's a world which it refers back to. So this will be the end of an extraordinary journey for all of us. There are a number of red lines through the season. We explore very much the 1890s, and not only as the fin de siècle, but as the time where music started to change. Of course, there are many well-known masterpieces, the Dvorak New World Symphony, Strauss Heldenleben, but there are also great rarities. I look forward very much to performing this extraordinary completion of Bruckner's Ninth Symphony that the three gentlemen have been working on now for 25 years and have made really something very, very powerful and very, very convincing to at least show us what Bruckner had in mind. It can never be exactly what he would have written, but there is so much there, even including the length of the movement, but very, very much of Bruckner there. And one time for us, I think it's important to see what did he mean when the Adagio was not just his final farewell, but when it was looking forward to another one of his enormous finales. And of course, it's very characteristic of the 1890s. This is the time where Bruckner was turning into Schoenberg. And when you hear the works of Schoenberg written only 5-10 years later, you realize how close the kinship is. And also, for instance, the opportunity to play these masterly choral works of Hugo Wolf, which have only recently come back into anybody's repertoire, will be a great adventure. We also will do a very extensive chamber music series based on known works and rarities from this time, also with lectures before, so everybody can explore this era. There is also, almost by chance, I must say, a real line of English music. And I say by chance because the English are modest about everything. I know people say we have a lot to be modest about. But a number of conductors had said, you know, we would love to play some of these pieces. And when Donald Runnicles said, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to have the Elgar First Symphony? Then immediately I was on the phone to Daniel Barenboim, who said, oh, but I've wanted to do the Dream of Gerontius for years, to have Semyon Bychkov conduct the Walton First Symphony, probably our greatest pre-war symphony in my old country. And so this has been a wonderful chance, because we also have a world premiere of an evening-length piece by Jonathan Harvey called Weltethos. And for me also it's a very sentimental story, because it comes from our late lamented Vorstand Jan Disselhorst, who knew that the wonderful Swiss theologian and philosopher Hans Küng wanted to write the libretto for an oratorio. And he got us all together. Jan and I decided that Jonathan Harvey, probably the most European of our British composers and the most spiritual of our British composers, would be the person to make this oratorio which deals with 5 of the world's greatest religions. And I'm delighted to say that Hans Küng is here in the audience with us. We're so grateful that you are part of our family, and we look enormously forward to this new piece. We also have a line following through our performance of Berio's Coro this year. We had very much wanted to explore the world of Berio, realizing that these great composers of our time very often get lost shortly after their death. People do not play these works enough. Luciano Berio has been one of the towering figures of the last century and the beginning of this. And I thought, what better orchestra, for instance, to explore the sequenzas, which are pieces for solo instruments on their own. Probably the greatest virtuoso series of the last 50 years written for different instruments than the members of our orchestra. And it gives us the chance not only to explore these pieces, but his orchestral pieces, often played, less often played. And we begin a new series of late night concerts, which had long been something close to my heart. We will have 3 programs with 5 performances altogether. Each one will have one sequenza of Berio, but also it will play music of wit and humor, which we can live with late at night. Nali Gruber's Extraordinary Frankenstein, which I premiered about 1,000 years ago. The Ligeti Aventur and Nouvelle Aventur, really one of the funniest pieces of the 20th century, and also Berio's own masterly folk songs. We think it will be a new departure for us and for our audience. We decided we would make it free to anyone who would like to hear a little more music and have a drink, and very, very cheap for anybody who would like to come in here at 10:30 at night. Another new adventure. And while we talk about this, it's not only in the sequenzas, but in a number of other pieces where members of our orchestra play as soloists. Also wonderfully, all 3 concertmasters will play concertos through the years, and a number of others. 2 operas in concert, Carmen, which we play at Easter, and also the Valkyrie, because so many people said, oh, why didn't you play the Valkyrie in concert? So be careful what you wish for. And it's after finally, next to finally, it's a longer English speech. After a season where we had so many debuts of conductors, and where Anders Nelsons and Yannick Nézet-Séguin come the season after next, they return. We have just one, the wonderful young Spanish conductor, Pablo Heras-Casado, who has made a name for himself in so many different fields that it makes it even more interesting. Anyone who conducts regularly the Freiburg Baroque Ensemble and the Ensemble Intercontemporain in Paris, but says, oh, what I would really like to conduct more than anything is Mendelssohn, has to be a fascinating person. And finally, our Sylvester concert, where we've been talking for years about what can be the trademark. We noticed that there is another orchestra that plays a lot of Viennese music over the New Year, which is the most wonderful trademark. And we finally realized we should try to make a shape where we gather together all the other symphonic dances. And it's, of course, a huge field. We thought every year we would bookend at one end of the concert with Dvorak Slavonic dances, at the other end with Brahms Hungarian dances, and just explore everything in the middle, with each year a very eminent soloist. This year, I'm delighted to have the return of Evgeny Kissin after a long time to play the Grieg piano concerto. So, another journey for our new year. And I think that's enough for me now. There's much to get through, but I wish you joy with the next season, and I look forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.